You're in Darwin today, meeting with the Northern Territory Australian of the Year, Leanne Little, this afternoon, and Luke Gosling, the federal MP, tomorrow, concerning bridging the gap in Indigenous health in remote towns. Give us some insights into the sorts of things you're aiming for with your visit to the Northern Territory.
Yeah, so over many years, we've seen a lot of political, posturing, but also political responses to the bridging the gap for Indigenous people in our nation. And what from research that I've done, and I have family in Darwin, so I'm up here regularly. And what I've realised, and I think needs to be sort of well known, is that there is a huge gap, particularly in health services in towns of similar populations. So let me just put that in an explanation for you. So, for instance, a place like Longreach, which would have the same population as a place like Maningrida in the Northern Territory, a place like Longreach has a hospital, it's got an 18-bed hospital. They have a population of about 3,000, same as Maningrida. They have a target. They have all these resources. A place like Maningrida has no hospital, and they are like 600 kilometres to the nearest hospital. This is not just an isolated case. This is repeated right across our nation. We have hospitals in non-Indigenous towns of very small populations, but in Indigenous towns, we have very few places that have hospitals. And where they do, Neil, so a place like Doomadgee has a hospital, but the water quality is so low that they actually can't use some of the resources. So, for instance, there is a lot of kidney disease amongst our Indigenous people. And so in Doomadgee Hospital, they put in 6 dialysis beds. Those beds cannot be used because the water quality is so low. So there is a lot of work to be done in actually bridging the gap, because these are real situations. These are real Australians who do not have the same facilities that a non-Indigenous town seems to have. And so I'm up here, I guess, just asking the questions, but you're talking to Leanne Little, Northern Territory Australian of the Year. Her sister is one of the South Australian senators, Karen Little. So it's a really outstanding Indigenous family in our nation. So I feel quite privileged to have that opportunity to talk to her, and also to Luke Gosling tomorrow. But ACL are really wanting to, I guess, present a full picture of what the gap really is.
Wonderful stuff, Wendy. And when people think of the Australian Christian lobby tackling those ethical, moral issues facing the nation, this is one of the biggest ethical, moral issues that there is to face, and that is bridging the gap. And so no listeners will be thrilled to know that you're there in the mix and putting perspectives forward and asking the right questions.